In one of the most fascinating corners of the planet lies a place even more mysterious than the Bermuda Triangle, a remote group of islands in Oceania, hidden in the crystal-clear waters of the Pacific, known as the Solomon Islands, named after those who discovered them, and were so struck by their beauty that they believed the treasure of the mythical king mentioned in ancient writings was to be found there. A region that maintains traditions as ancient as they are extraordinary, where men and women of unique beauty fish without any clothes. This archipelago, made up of more than 900 islands, is a place full of mysteries and curiosities that have captured the imagination of adventurers and travelers throughout the centuries. And now you are going to discover it. So get ready to discover the mysterious and unique reality of the Solomon Islands in this new video from Uncensored World. A paradise on Earth as exotic as it is enigmatic, with boiling rivers, forests and plants that light up at night, floating islands made of stones and coral, and Marovo, the largest saltwater lagoon in the world. Such extraordinary nature gives rise to unique animals, people whose gods are shaped like sharks, and hundreds of disappearances due to realities such as giant crocodiles and legends believed by the islanders, such as the presence of an island inhabited by werewolves, another filled with human skulls, and supposed realities such as witch hunters, UFO sightings, and other enigmas that make this place also known as the Solomon Islands Triangle. You will be surprised to learn that in this isolated paradise, where time seems to stand still, the customs of yesteryear are still so alive that some tribes still do not wear underwear as they did thousands of years ago, and they maintain initiation rituals, dances and traditions focused on fertility and abundance. The Solomon Islands are home to a population with unique genetic characteristics, combining the dark skin, typical of this region of the planet, with natural blonde hair, which gives them a fascinating contrast and beauty. A beauty that could be behind an ancient practice, still considered a custom in some remote regions, in which some women dive naked to attract and fish for their family's livelihood. Don't miss this new video from Uncensored World, because we guarantee that discovering these mysterious islands with us will surprise you. Let's get started. In one of the most unexplored corners of the planet, where the horizon merges with the crystal-clear waters of a seemingly endless sea, lie the Solomon Islands, an archipelago as remote as it is unreachable, guardian of some of the most amazing mysteries in human history. Hidden among the turquoise and crystal-clear waters of the Pacific, these islands are an enigma shrouded in mystery and legend. With landscapes of dense jungles that hide ancient tribes and traditions, mist-covered mountains, and white sand beaches that seem straight out of a dream, the Solomon Islands hold secrets that have remained hidden for centuries. The Solomon Islands are located in the heart of the South Pacific, forming a remote and mysterious archipelago that spans more than 900 islands, although less than a third of them are inhabited. This tropical paradise, far from modernity and the hustle and bustle of big cities, is one of the most unknown and unspoiled destinations on the planet. The population density of the islands is very low, allowing nature to remain in its purest and most enigmatic state. This has created a fascinating environment, with spectacular landscapes and wildlife that is as unique as it is mysterious, giving it an air of mystery that attracts adventurers and curious travelers from around the world. But despite their isolation, the Solomon Islands have not escaped mystery. Many believe that this archipelago hides mysteries more intriguing than the mythical Bermuda Triangle, which is why this region is also known as the Solomon Islands Triangle. For centuries, an inexplicable number of disappearances and unexplained phenomena have occurred here, giving rise to theories ranging from the influence of natural phenomena, cannibalistic tribes, or mythological animals, to beliefs about supernatural forces inhabiting the depths of the ocean. Among the most surprising legends are stories of UFO sightings, beliefs in the presence of witches and werewolves, and the existence of islands where hundreds of human skulls have been found, a remnant of ancient customs that local inhabitants believe still live in this region. Little by little, we will discover these secrets and other curiosities of these islands, such as fishing without clothes and some of the most beautiful corners of the planet. But first we must discover the origin of these islands, an origin that has a lot to do with mystery since, as you will see, The origin of the Solomon Islands is also shrouded in legend. The name of this archipelago comes from the ancient tradition that linked these islands to King Solomon of the Bible. It is said that in ancient times, European sailors arrived in these lands and, seeing their natural wealth, believed that the golden riches mentioned in the ancient scriptures were to be found there. The origins of these islands hide a history as fascinating as the archipelago itself. It is believed that the first waves of colonization were carried out by the Polynesians, who, with their legendary navigational skills, traveled vast distances in wind-powered canoes. The Polynesians are recognized as the greatest navigators in human history, capable of exploring and colonizing vast areas of the Pacific with impressive precision long before the age of modern technology. Their mastery of the sea and their deep knowledge of the stars allowed them to reach even the most remote islands, such as the Solomons, bringing with them their customs, traditions, and ancestral beliefs. However, the Solomon Islands were also witness to waves of European exploration and colonization, resulting in a population that fused diverse influences from both Melanesian and Polynesian peoples. Over the centuries, the islands became a melting pot of cultures, which in part gave rise to the unique genetics of many of its inhabitants. This fusion of peoples over millennia gave rise to one of the most surprising and fascinating characteristics of the region, which perplexes many tourists who visit the Solomon Islands: naturally blonde hair in people of Polynesian origin with dark tanned skin. Despite having dark skin typical of these Pacific peoples, a significant portion of the population has blonde hair or golden highlights, an extraordinary genetic trait. This rare and beautiful contrast not only gives the islanders an exotic appearance, but has also become a symbol of their unique cultural identity. It is a reminder of the ancient migrations, conquests, and mixing of peoples that made the Solomon Islands such an enigmatic and fascinating place. This fascination is also reflected in the houses and clothing, or lack thereof, of a large part of the population. Despite their natural beauty and worldwide recognition, these islands are a perfect reflection of the union between the ancient and the modern. In the capital, Honiara, you can find modern buildings, signs of an urban life that is trying to move towards modernity. However, as you move away from the capital and into rural areas, life remains more traditional. In many of the villages of the Solomon Islands, the dwellings are still huts of ancestral construction, simple but extremely functional. These structures are made mainly from natural materials found in their surroundings, such as wood, palm leaves, cane, and plant fibers, allowing them to blend in perfectly with the surrounding nature. The huts, with high roofs and open to allow air to circulate, are sturdy and well-suited to the tropical climate, reflecting an ancestral wisdom that has endured for generations. In these villages, the inhabitants wear traditional clothing, often made from plant fibers, and some tribes still practice ancestral customs that have remained unchanged over the centuries, such as not wearing underwear, following a tradition that values connection with nature and the simplicity of a life without material adornments. In many of these remote villages, clothing is limited to loincloths or light garments, adapted to the local climate and culture, a reality that has much to do with the practice that probably caught your attention at the beginning of this journey: fishing without clothes, which we will explore in more detail later on. These realities have a lot to do with the lack of contact with the outside world, a reality that has allowed traditions and customs to remain alive, almost unchanged by the passage of time. The Solomon Islands are therefore an earthly refuge for those seeking to escape modern life and connect with a simpler way of life, in harmony with nature. Legends, myths, and beliefs in the supernatural are an essential part of daily life, giving the Solomon Islands an air of mysticism and magic that has endured for thousands of years, with realities and events so extraordinary that they have earned this place recognition as one of the most mysterious places on the planet. Among the most disturbing stories is the one known as the Island of Skulls, a place whose history dates back to the first discoveries of human remains on its shores. In 1992, archaeologists exploring one of the most remote islands in this archipelago came across something terrifying: a large number of human skulls some of them altered in unusual ways, as if they had been offerings to the gods. These findings reflected an ancient practice of ritual cannibalism and human sacrifice, where local tribes in times past offered bodies in an attempt to appease or please the deities of nature, a macabre tradition that lasted for centuries. Although cannibalism has mostly disappeared, there are still unexplored corners of this region where remote tribes may continue to practice cannibalism. A reality associated with this that can help us understand the extraordinary and unique nature of the Solomon Islands is that, despite colonization and the process of conversion to Christianity carried out by religious missions over the centuries, there are still societies within the archipelago that maintain ancestral beliefs and rituals, believing, for example, in gods in the form of sharks. Although many Solomon Islander communities profess Christianity, some remote tribes continue to practice traditional religions and worship animals that play a central role in their culture. Among these animals, one of the most revered is the shark, considered a spiritual and protective being. This devotion to sharks remains strong, especially in the most isolated tribes, where fishing rituals and offerings are deeply linked to their belief in the connection between the sea and the spiritual world. In addition to this worship of sharks, another equally fascinating and puzzling practice in these communities is the use of dolphin teeth as currency. For centuries, it is believed that until just over 100 years ago, dolphins were sacred animals to the islands, and their teeth were considered a precious treasure. For this reason, they not only served as symbols of wealth and status within the tribe, but were also used in local trade and rituals. It was only relatively recently, with the increasing influence of the global economy, that these societies began to adopt the use of conventional money, such as banknotes or coins, slowly abandoning this ancient custom. However, dolphin teeth still have immense symbolic value in the cultural traditions of many peoples, being used in ceremonies, exchanges, and marriages. The fact that such traditions have endured on these islands, despite centuries of colonization and outside influences, underscores the uniqueness of life in the Solomon Islands. While the rest of the world has seen rapid changes in trade systems, religions, clothing, and architecture, these communities continue to pay homage to the forces of nature that have governed their existence for thousands of years, dressing and living in the same way. This creates a fascinating contrast with the modern world and contributes to the Solomon Islands remaining one of the most mysterious and enigmatic destinations on the planet, a place where the ancestral past and the present merge into a unique reality. But in the Solomon Islands, mystery also has to do with the extraordinary beauty of this incredible archipelago, which contains boiling rivers, forests that light up at night, islands made of coral, and one of the most spectacular lagoons on the planet. In certain areas of the islands, there are rivers whose waters reach such high temperatures that they appear to be in constant boiling. This natural and mysterious phenomenon attracts travelers and adventurers from around the world every year. The boiling waters of these rivers are not only an impressive visual spectacle, but also have geothermal properties that have formed a key part of the local ecosystem. The presence of these volcanic rivers is a reminder that beneath the seemingly peaceful surface of the islands lies a geothermal force that gives life to a vibrant and unique landscape full of natural hot springs, geysers, and hot pools that look like something out of a fantasy novel. The locals have used these hot waters for millennia, not only for cooking, but also as part of fertility, purification, and initiation rituals for the young. Over the centuries, the Solomon Islands have been a place where ancestral traditions have been passed down from generation to generation. Among these practices are initiation rituals for young people, which are central to marking the passage from childhood to adulthood in several island communities. These rituals can include a variety of symbolic acts representing the learning of new responsibilities and connection to ancestors, such as ritual dances, spiritual teachings, and purification ceremonies. In some cases, these ceremonies also involve more intimate aspects, such as fertility rituals that seek to ensure the continuity of the tribe and the prosperity of the community. Some of these rituals may include sensual dances that have deep meaning in the context of social life and maturity. Although the influence of Christianity and other external factors has modified many of these traditions, in the most remote regions of the islands, there are still communities that keep these customs alive, preserving a worldview that is deeply intertwined with nature, spirituality, and the ancient beliefs of their ancestors. Places where another controversial practice is also carried out, such as fishing without clothes, which we will soon learn more about. Another of the wonders of the Solomon Islands is the mysterious bioluminescence that illuminates the forests at night. On some of the islands, the night air is filled with a soft, mysterious light that emanates from plants and trees. This phenomenon is caused by bioluminescent organisms that inhabit the local ecosystem, from fungi that glow in the dark to insects and certain species of plants. Visitors who venture into these forests at night are often surrounded by an almost magical atmosphere, creating a spectacle as impressive as it is strange, which is surely behind many of the mysteries of these islands, such as the island of the werewolves. But before delving into this extraordinary mystery, let's move on to another one, that of some floating islands in the Solomon Islands, one of the most unusual and fascinating formations to be found in the Pacific. These islands, formed by a mixture of stones, coral, and vegetation, seem to defy logic, as they are suspended above the water as if floating in the air. These floating islands have formed over centuries due to the accumulation of organic and mineral materials, creating small ecosystems that are inhabited by unique plants and animals. Some of these floating islets are so irregular in shape that they look more like a work of art sculpted by humans than a natural geological formation. But the mystery of this archipelago does not end with the beliefs, practices, or natural realities you are learning about, as it is rumored that the Solomon Islands are home to an island even more enigmatic than the well-known Isle of Skulls, Santa Isabel Island, also nicknamed Werewolf Island. This legend tells of monstrous beings similar to werewolves that roam the island at night. In this place, unexplained disappearances and strange sightings have fueled the myth of these mythical creatures. Testimonies from lost travelers who never returned, along with stories of strange roars heard in the thick jungle, huge footprints, and mysterious shadows, continue to fuel the fantasy surrounding this cursed island. With no scientific evidence to support such claims, many scientists and experts point to a much more logical explanation for these mysterious events: the presence of giant crocodiles on the islands. The beautiful and seemingly peaceful waters of the Solomon Islands are home to some of the largest crocodile species on the planet, such as the saltwater crocodile, which can reach astonishing sizes. These reptiles are capable of attacking with speed and ferocity, which could explain the disappearances of people in certain areas of the islands. Fishermen and locals tell of crocodiles lurking in the shadows of mangroves and rivers, and of attacks in which tourists and residents have disappeared without a trace. The impressive size of these crocodiles, which can exceed 6 meters in length, makes any excursion through the waters of the islands a dangerous experience if proper care is not taken. In isolated areas, where access is difficult and communication is limited, tourists should exercise particular caution. While the natural beauty of the Solomon Islands attracts many visitors, it is essential that travelers remain informed about the areas of greatest risk, as these giant reptiles are territorial and may attack if they feel their space is being invaded. It is probably not in these crocodile-infested regions where one of the most controversial customs of these islands, from a Western perspective, is practiced: fishing and diving without clothes. In some of the most remote areas of the Solomon Islands, men and women dive naked into the crystal-clear waters of the Pacific in search of sustenance, a tradition that seems to have endured for thousands of years. This practice is not only a way of life, but an integral part of the local culture, reflecting a deep connection with nature and respect for ancestral customs. In these societies, without any clothing, whether swimsuits or bikinis, the inhabitants venture into the depths of the ocean using only rudimentary harpoons to hunt fish and shellfish. The history of these tribes dates back to the first Polynesian peoples and their ability to live in close harmony with their environment, which led them to adopt a lifestyle without excessive clothing. A practical resource that, in addition to offering them greater freedom of movement in everyday activities such as this, helps them carry less weight underwater. In some cases, it is believed that men tend to cover certain parts of their bodies to avoid being bitten by sea creatures, which could mistake certain areas for other animals in the water. At this point, we would like to ask you, would you dare to dive without clothes in search of fish? Would you like to participate in these traditions or learn about other aspects of life in the Solomon Islands? What has surprised you the most so far? Pause the video and leave us your comments. By doing so, you will be helping our channel and others to learn more about the world around us. So thank you. Probably one of the places where this ancient and extraordinary practice takes place is inside one of the greatest natural treasures of this archipelago, the Marovo Lagoon, better known worldwide as the largest saltwater lagoon on the planet. With its deep blue waters surrounded by lush tropical forests, remote tribes and small islets, Marovo is a place of breathtaking beauty. This lagoon is a refuge for incredible biodiversity, home to rare corals, exotic fish and marine species found nowhere else on the planet. Marovo is not only famous for its stunning natural beauty, but has also gained renown in the world of diving, becoming one of the most sought-after destinations for divers worldwide. Diving enthusiasts flock to its crystal-clear waters, and although they probably don't know or expect to find naked tribes while diving, they are looking for the opportunity to explore one of the most vibrant and colorful marine ecosystems on the planet. Marovo Lagoon offers an unparalleled underwater landscape, home to rare corals and a variety of exotic fish that can only be found in this remote corner of the world. Despite its natural beauty, access to the lagoon remains limited, which helps to preserve its unique ecosystem. Very soon we will help you understand how to get there and enjoy this paradise on Earth to the fullest. But before that, it is important to know the facts and mysteries behind why this region is known as one of the Solomon Islands triangles. One of the most fascinating and puzzling phenomena in this region is its nickname, which evokes the mystery of places like the Bermuda Triangle. But unlike the Bermuda Triangle, it is much less well known. But in addition to all the mysteries you have learned about, extraordinary events have also been reported in the Solomon Islands, such as encounters with UFOs and the existence of witch hunters. One of the most intriguing and documented cases of strange phenomena in Guadalcanal, one of the main islands of the Solomon Islands, occurred in 1942 during World War II. This event is not directly related to UFOs or abductions, but it has been associated with mysteries and paranormal accounts that still persist in the region. In that year, during the Battle of Guadalcanal, several American and Japanese soldiers reported sightings of strange lights in the night sky. These lights were not only seen by combatants, but also by local residents. Descriptions varied, but some claim to have seen floating lights and unexplained movements in the sky. In some cases, witnesses described these objects as spheres of light that moved quickly, often disappearing over the horizon without a trace. In the years that followed, especially in the 1970s, stories emerged of close encounters in the region involving strange lights and unexplained events reported by sailors and local residents. During this time, some Guadalcanal residents and travelers reported the unexplained disappearance of small objects, such as fishing boats, which vanished without explanation in nearby waters, further fueling theories about paranormal or extraterrestrial phenomena. Another of the darkest and most mysterious aspects of the Solomon Islands is the persistence of beliefs in black magic and witchcraft, even today. In the most remote tribes, especially in areas such as Guadalcanal and the smaller, more isolated islands, people still believe in the presence of sorcerers and witches who practice ancient rituals. These sorcerers, known locally as kaitasi or sorcerers, are powerful and feared figures in the local culture. They are believed to have the power to cast spells, cure illnesses through secret rituals, and even manipulate people's destinies. For centuries, certain individuals accused of using black magic or witchcraft were persecuted by these witch hunters. Known for their brutality, these hunters were responsible for tracking down sorcerers, and in many cases the outcome was tragic. Today, belief in witchcraft and dark energies remains present in local folklore, with occasional reports of sightings of people with mysterious powers. In more remote areas, some places are believed to be imbued with negative energy, and locals still consult witch doctors to solve personal problems, cure illnesses, or protect themselves from curses. Although the influence of Christianity and other religions has changed many of these traditions, Black magic continues to play a significant role in the lives of many tribes in the Solomon Islands, where stories of witch doctors and witch hunters live on. As you have seen, the Solomon Islands Triangle, although much smaller in size than the famous Bermuda Triangle, has been and continues to be the site of many unsolved mysteries. But at the same time, it is and has been a corner of natural beauty and unique tradition in the world. With this in mind, Uncensored World has investigated how to get there and make the most of this remote and enigmatic paradise on Earth. Located in the South Pacific, east of Papua New Guinea, the Solomon Islands are a fascinating, albeit remote, destination, making them a hidden gem for the more adventurous traveler. There are several ways to get there from America or Europe. The most common way is to fly first to Honiara, the capital, from major cities such as Brisbane or Sydney in Australia, or from Port Moresby in Papua New Guinea. From there, you can take domestic flights to other islands in the archipelago. It is important to note that international and domestic flights are not very frequent, so it is advisable to book in advance and be aware of local connections. As for visas, tourists from most countries need to obtain one to enter the Solomon Islands. However, it is usually possible to obtain a visa on arrival or apply for one in advance online. It is advisable to check the specific requirements for your country before traveling. The cost of living in the Solomon Islands is relatively low, but due to their remote location, some products and services may be more expensive than in other parts of the world. Accommodation is generally affordable, although prices vary depending on the island and the type of accommodation. For example, a night in a simple hotel can cost between $50 and $80, while dinner for two at a local restaurant can range from $10 to $30, depending on the location and quality of the food. Getting around the islands is relatively easy, but you should be prepared for some logistical difficulties due to the remote location. Transportation options include local flights, boats, and walking. Local boats are the most common and economical way to get around the islands. In addition, many tours include boat transfers, allowing you to explore different areas and enjoy the stunning ocean views. There are a variety of excursions available, ranging from jungle tours to diving and snorkeling in the beautiful coral reefs or trips to Marovo Lagoon. The Solomon Islands are generally a safe destination for tourists, but as with any place, it is always advisable to take precautions. It is essential to respect local customs, especially in more remote communities, and to seek the guidance of local guides to maximize your experience and ensure a peaceful visit. Excursions are often led by locals, which not only allows you to get to know the place in a more authentic way, but also supports the local economy. At Uncensored World, we hope this video helps you discover the Solomon Islands, as you have seen, one of the most mysterious regions on the planet. If so, don't hesitate to give us a like and leave a comment. It's the best way to help us continue working every week to bring you more interesting content like this. Or like this video, which you can watch now, to discover another of the most mysterious and beautiful places on the planet. Click on it, you're going to enjoy it.